Welcome to the Lift Journal, a session-by-session record of my progression in foiling from a beginner's perspective, sharing the highs and lows of my experience firsthand. All right, so last day, we just surfed. It was pretty big. We did not foil. It was a little too big, personally, for my comfort to foil today. It was actually a pretty big surf. It was actually kind of almost out of my comfort zone to surf as well. And so, yeah, that was the experience. It was awesome. Esben, my instructor, was amazing. He really made me feel comfortable. I've never taken lessons to do anything in my life except play guitar when I was like 12. So to come here as a 41-year-old man with no experience with foiling at all, and to be able to pick it up with all of his instructions and lessons and just being super hands-on, it was amazing. So we really appreciate that and thank you. And I'm actually gonna go home with one, so you guys, I will stay away from everybody as far as on the foil. The surf, that's a little different, but I'm gonna stay far away from everybody. I'm gonna be smart. I'm gonna get a impact vest and also a helmet, because honestly, these things are a not fuck around situation. They are a real deal. I've been hit on my leg, my foot got scraped with it, my shin got hit. I have something going on here. I think I just fell from super high and just landed on my ribs, not on the board, but just on the water. So I'm gonna do the smart thing and play it safe, unlike I have for the past 25 years of doing board sports, and just going for it. I'm gonna follow the rules and enjoy. So we're leaving today, and I'm leaving with a board. If we could just kind of go over from an instructor's perspective of how everything went, and be honest.
For sure. You were for sure above average. Coming with a strong surfing background gave you a big foot up in the surf foiling progression. We went through all the correct steps, from e-foiling to towing, working towards a smaller board, figuring out our foil controls before we actually go into a wave. You mastered it pretty quickly, so we were ahead of schedule, and you were able to get out foiling with in the surf the first day, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Pretty ahead of the curve, which was awesome. We even got to do a little bit of tow foiling, which was a first for me, especially with a student, which was really cool.
Awesome.
So that's tow foiling with an e-foil.
So that was your first time doing that?
That was my first time personally doing that.
Oh
yeah, so
God.
that was really cool. We've got a crew that does it pretty religiously whenever there's big swell. There's actually a couple guys going out this afternoon to do that, as long as the wind doesn't pick up too much. So that's always a big progression. With surf foiling is not only to paddle into your own waves when the conditions aren't great, but for those that are hooked on the sensation of flying with a wing, going out in big open swell, and towing in either with a jet ski, boat, or e-foil is like top notch.
That's
the end all be all for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's so fun. I mean, that experience, like taking the paddling out and just getting up and just like selection.
Yes.
With still effort, because you still have to remember what you're doing, but like no paddle effort, no pop-up effort, you're already up and you're just rolling down. It's like a rolling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
Yep. Dropping in on a half pipe or dropping in on a mountain on a snowboard is kind of the closest relation we can simulate to it. Honestly, with where you're at in your progression, the biggest step forward is just time on the board, time in the water. Just like anyone's normal surfing progression, it's all about spending some time in the water and relearning what waves you can and can't catch. And wave selection, just like the same when you switch from a longboard to a shortboard.
Totally.
We have to kind of change our surfing style once we dial in our control and our flow, for sure.
Yeah, that was another thing. And I was talking to Trip about it, and I obviously talked with you about it, but going back onto a regular surfboard, like I was on an 8-foot board, there's no reason for that to be wobbly.
Yep.
And I was paddling, and the whole thing was swinging back and forth, and I was like, I can't believe this board is doing this right now. And it's cool because it almost kind of gives you that little bit of instance of like, oh, I have to remember how to do this again, surfing, because I've done it so many times. So it's kind of cool that it focuses back and forth.
And that's a lot of people's first impression when they look at a board this size. We started you off on something 2 inches larger. This is a 410. We started on a 5.1, 5.0, 5.1, and it was just a little bit larger in literage. The big advantage with these boards and disadvantage, people look at them and go, oh man, there's no way I can paddle something so small. Never paddled a 410 in my entire life. Never will I ever dream of doing it.
Totally.
The weight and the counterbalance of the wing, the mast, everything hanging under the board stabilizes everything super, super smooth. And so that transition back to even a log, something very, very stable as a surf craft is drastically different.
Totally.
Kind of acts like a keel on a sailboat, creating that counterbalance so you don't get that tippiness from rail to rail.
Sure. And the volume distribution on these things, it being 410, I've ridden 410 surfboards.
Yes.
Like mini Simmons, stuff like that. And the volume distribution that is packed, people probably don't understand, because when you see someone paddling it, you're only seeing this. You're not seeing all of the volume underneath it, which is what kind of gets it up to plane and kind of helps with all that.
For sure, yeah. So, selecting a board in the beginning, you're looking for something that's going to benefit your progression so that you can catch waves easy. But you don't want something so large that you're going to either progress out of it very quickly or it becomes too much of a cumbersome board when you're actually on foil. The idea with these is to be hydrodynamic, but also aerodynamic, because once we're on foil, the board is in the air the whole time. There are moments when it touches down, and a lot of boards will have a lot of different bottom shape and concave to help re-release that water off the bottom and get you back up on foil quickly. Being that it's, a very short board, but still packs a lot of volume, it kind of checks every box to provide a lot of float, catch waves very easy, catch very small waves, but not be over cumbersome, with a lot of swing weight or just board weight in the air when you're on foil.
Sure. Yeah. And it's cool too, how long has foiling been around? Before layered, when it kind of made more, let's say, more consumer friendly.
It's gotten more consumer friendly probably 5+ years. Yeah. In the beginning, it was very, very techy, carbon everything. We've kind of come full circle and gone back to that. But it has become much more intro and beginner friendly. Cool. Everything used to be super long mast, super high aspect wings. It was all kind of a step down originally from air chairing. I don't know if you've ever seen that behind the boat. Yeah. That's kind of where foiling developed from, and that's where it transitioned into everything else. And so that was our starting base in the industry, and everything has kind of had to evolve from there. Sure. And this is now what we've come to, with a very large range of gear to switch out to kind of change up for conditions.
That's awesome.
Which kind of brings us to why we've selected what we have for you.
Yes.
Which is the CF 1200. It is the carving free ride wing. It's going to create pretty good lift at a slow speed, but be very stable in larger conditions. It's something that you can start off very early as a beginner, but not grow out of. And then it is also a great intro wing for your first setup.
Okay.
So, you're leaving here with this exact setup right here. At some point, you'll probably end up teching out and buying different foil wings, mass sizes, stuff like that. But this is the kind of check all boxes, meet all needs, middle of the road, get you going for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, this is what I rode yesterday. Obviously, our second session, foiling was a little rough.
Yeah, a little dumpy.
But I still felt comfortable on it for the one wave that I got all the way to the beach. It felt good. It had the lift, and it also didn't feel like it had too much lift.
Yep.
I think it's a great setup, and I'm so excited to bring it back.
Yeah, we might for sure.
Yeah. And if we could just kind of go over what's in. This is the whole setup. Everything comes in a bag.
Yeah, so this is your entire setup for everything below the deck. So it's designed to be very travel friendly. The bag is padded. Everything in the bag is also in padded cases. They leave you plenty of space to add to your gear as well, so you can start to travel with multiple wings. Every wing is created in a padding, everything, every corner, every edge, even your hardware and your center fuselage.
Wow.
Everything has a specific place so that everything can be protected, and make sure it's not getting dinged up when you're traveling. Obviously, it is carbon. They, can take some dings. It is full carbon all the way through to the core, so they can take a pretty good beating. Obviously, it's not an inexpensive toy, so take care of it well.
Of course.
The great thing with Armstrong that really sets them apart from a lot of people in the industry, though, is the titanium hardware with titanium inserts.
Yep.
So, if you don't own a truck, if you have a small vehicle, you can take this apart and build it numerous times without worrying about hardware stripping, seizing up, without having to keep up with any anti-seize or anything like that, dealing with any greases in your wetsuits or anything like that while you're getting ready to go for a session. So everything packs down super simple, and makes it very, very easy to travel with and get to the beach to score a session.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Of course, man. Absolute pleasure.
Dude, this was so much fun.
Super fun week.
For real, interview in or out, you were so good at what you do.
Thank you.
I've never taken a lesson doing anything in my life.
Yeah.
And this was such a great experience.
Awesome.
I was so
glad you enjoyed
nervous. So nervous. You were just like, we're just gonna do this.
Yep.
And it was great.
Sweet.
So you're
good.
Really good at what
Thank
you
you, sir.
And I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, taking the time to bring us around. It's
teaching's been my passion, whether it's been water sports or any other sports. I've taught a lot of sports professionally for a long time. Teaching kiting now for almost 10 years. I've worked very religiously with Real and a lot of the guys here to help develop a lot of our programs, from e-foiling to winging to everything else.
That's awesome.
Our core focus is always progression and safety.
Yeah.
And we try to kind of set the industry standard with what we can accomplish here for progression. So,
dude, I progressed and I felt safe.
Yeah, good. Good. We had a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time, for sure. Awesome.
Sick.
Remember in the first episode, I spoke about the biggest backstock of surfboards known to man? Well, this is just the hallway.
Rosa, Roger Hines, Harley Mid-6s, Ultra Trackers, sea buckets, twin trackers.
Not sure if you're picking up on this, but Trip has multiple options of each model. I've never heard or seen inventory this dense.
How do you do it? It's 5 liters.
I can't believe they even put literage on it.
Rawson's. Christensen's.
Yeah.
Verners. Skin Dogs. Verners. Lost. Kitchen.
This is what I see.
The glory hole.
Yeah.
Attention all frothers. As Trip said, this is the glory hole. The most insane thing I have ever experienced in retail. A board cubby that houses a ridiculous amount of longboards, thrusters, single fins, twin pins, bonzers, mids, gliders, you name it, they got it. And if they don't have it, they can get it for you. Well, all great experience must come to an end, but I am beyond excited to bring home a new way of looking at riding waves. Foiling will 100% be something that I continue to do. I could not be more stoked with my time spent at Trip's compound. I want to say thank you to everyone at Real, Waterman's Retreat, Waterman's Grill, and of course Esben for the amazing experience. If I may, give a little bit of advice to anyone interested in learning to foil. Do not go out and just give it a try. Take the time, book the trip with Real, have a great experience like I did. Thanks again to everyone, and more episodes on my experience with foiling on the way. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you liked this episode, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already.